99 large wildfires are burning out of control across the United States right now. We are still sitting at National Preparedness Level 5, the absolute maximum the system has, and we have now been stuck at that top level for close to 3 straight weeks. More than 5.25 million acres have already burned, and it is only the 4th of August. That works out to roughly 138% of the 10-year average, and fire season normally runs all the way through October, meaning we still have more than 2 months of this ahead of us. The situation is so severe that firefighters from Australia and New Zealand have been sent over to help us fight it. That kind of international response only happens when the country's own resources are stretched close to their limit. Here is everything you need to know about today's fire weather crisis. Let's start with the big picture before we zoom into specific regions and cities. As of 7:30 this morning Mountain Time, more than 27,000 personnel are deployed nationwide. That includes hundreds of ground crews, well over 1,000 engines, and more than 150 helicopters. 24 Type 1 incident management teams, the highest level of wildfire management there is, are fully committed right now. And yet, in a lot of places, the fire is still winning. Here's why the weather just will not let up. Minimum relative humidity values are sitting between 3 and 15% across California and the inland Northwest. 3% humidity. Sit with that number for a second. That level is considered critically dangerous, both for how fast a fire can spread and for the safety of the firefighters standing in front of it. Temperatures at or above 100 degrees Fahrenheit are locked in across the interior West today, and a strengthening thermal trough, basically a ribbon of extreme heat sitting low near the surface, is the reason why. It's creating a pressure pattern that keeps pumping hot, dry, unstable air straight into fire country. Now let's move to the Northwest, because this is where things are most critical today. The Northwest Geographic Area Coordination Center is also sitting at Preparedness Level 5, Maximum Resource Commitment. Around half of the nation's 99 uncontained large fires, roughly 50 of them, are burning right here in the Pacific Northwest. That means half of the entire country's wildfire problem is concentrated in just 2 states, Washington and Oregon. And if you are anywhere in the Spokane, Washington metro area, please pay close attention right now. The city of Spokane is genuinely surrounded, and I don't use that word lightly, by 3 fires burning at the same time. The Old Trails Fire is burning about 3 miles west of downtown Spokane right now. The Autumn Lane Fire is roughly 7 miles to the northwest and picked up more than 2,000 new acres just overnight. The Fairview Fire is burning about 2 miles to the northeast, moving through timber and grass with active evacuations already in place. All 3 fires have mandatory evacuations, area closures, and road and trail closures in effect this morning. If you are under an evacuation order, please leave. Do not wait it out. Do not risk your life trying to protect property. One incident management team out of California is handling all 3 fires at once: Old Trails, Autumn Lane, and Fairview, which honestly tells you how thin resources are stretched right now. 3 separate fires being run by a single command team. And there's a major criminal development out of Spokane that broke overnight, and it matters. The Spokane County Sheriff's Office announced an arrest connected to the Old Trails fire, the biggest of the 3. A man in his late 30s is now charged with first-degree arson. According to the sheriff, a citizen called police after seeing him kneeling near the grass right at the spot where the fire started. When deputies arrived, he was reportedly carrying waterproof matches and a butane lighter. Investigators say the evidence found at the ignition point is consistent with the fire being started by a match or a lighter. The sheriff also confirmed the suspect is a convicted felon with a prior manslaughter conviction out of Arizona, and he is currently being held on a $1 million bond. This is exactly the kind of detail that tends to get lost once a fire this size takes off. The fact that a specific person in a specific spot at a specific moment may be responsible for hundreds of families losing their homes. Investigators have not linked him to the Autumn Lane or Fairview fires, and the causes of those 2 remain under investigation separately. Now, moving just north of Spokane, the Sinlahekin Fire in Okanagan County is exploding in size. It gained close to 29,000 acres in a single 24-hour stretch overnight. It now stands at around 102,900 acres, and it is only 5% contained. Active fire behavior includes wind-driven runs, torching, and spotting, with communication infrastructure now under threat. Evacuations and area, road, and trail closures remain in effect for this fire as well. And listen, the weather driving this fire's growth is not letting up over the next day. Temperatures near or slightly above normal for the inland Northwest, combined with hot, dry, unstable air expanding across the region. Now, let's talk about what I consider one of the single most dangerous fires burning anywhere in the country right now. The Little Giant Fire, burning on the Okanogan-Wenatchee National Forest, about 30 miles northwest of Leavenworth, Washington. It's sitting around 59,300 acres, and it is at 0% contained. Here's the fire behavior report, and it's genuinely alarming. Extreme fire behavior, uphill runs, crowning, and long-range spotting. That combination is about as dangerous as it gets. Crowning means the fire is burning straight through the tops of the trees and moving faster than crews can even track it on the ground. Long-range spotting means embers are landing well ahead of the main fire front, starting brand new ignitions far away from where the fire actually is. One incident management team is assigned here. Numerous structures are threatened. An area, road, and trail closures are active. The estimated cost so far on this single fire has already passed $14.5 million, and it's climbing fast. Moving south into Oregon now, and the scale of what's burning down there is almost hard to wrap your head around. The Big Grass Fire, managed under the BLM's Vail District, has burned around 342,000 acres. 342,000 acres. That is close to half the size of the entire state of Rhode Island. It picked up more than 5,000 new acres just yesterday and is still sitting at only 25% contained. Active fire behavior there includes short crown runs, wind-driven runs, and single tree torching. This morning, the Roe Creek Complex, burning southwest of Fossil, Oregon, sits around 324,000 acres and is roughly 60% contained. This is currently the most expensive wildfire burning anywhere in the Northwest region, with suppression costs already close to $50 million and 25 structures lost so far. More than 1,700 personnel are assigned to this complex alone this morning. Then there's the Coleman Creek Fire in the Burns District, sitting around 274,000 acres, showing active fire behavior with wind-driven runs, short-range spotting, and serious threats to energy infrastructure today. The Kaiser Canyon Fire near Nespelem, Washington, has burned around 136,000 acres and is about 44% contained, but 44 structures have already been lost, and suppression spending there has passed $31 million and is still climbing. Now let's shift to the southwest Oregon Cascades, where the fire weather setup is especially worrying today. The National Weather Service's Predictive Services team is flagging a high-risk corridor. A strengthening thermal trough is creating dangerous fire conditions, stretching from southwest Oregon north all the way to the Columbia River Gorge. That's a huge stretch of terrain, covering the Umpqua, Rogue River, and Willamette National Forests. If you live anywhere along that Interstate 5 corridor through southern Oregon, stay extremely alert today. We already have the Grasshopper Fire burning on the Mount Hood National Forest, around 31,000 acres, showing active fire behavior with backing, flanking, and uphill runs, threatening structures and critical infrastructure. The Evans Creek Road Fire near Rogue River has burned about 15,000 acres. And there's a fire right at mile marker 57 on Interstate 5 near Grants Pass. Yes, an actual wildfire sitting next to the interstate. If you're driving I-5 through the Grants Pass area today, use extreme caution and check current road conditions before you go. Now let's move east to the Great Basin region, which is also sitting at preparedness level 4 this morning. There are 12 large uncontained fires there right now, with 3 critical incident management teams committed. And honestly, the fire behavior reports coming out of Utah and Nevada this morning are alarming. 3 separate fires in the Great Basin are showing what fire managers call extreme fire behavior. The Widemouth Fire on the Fish Lake National Forest in Utah has burned around 68,000 acres and sits at 0% contained, with short-range spotting, wind-driven runs, and torching, and numerous structures threatened. Mandatory evacuations are in effect near Kanosh, Utah, about 2 miles from the fire's edge. The Ward Fire on the Humboldt-Toyabe National Forest in Nevada has burned around 8,000 acres, also at 0% contained, showing crowning and wind-driven runs about 10 miles south of Ely, Nevada, along Highway 93, with critical infrastructure threatened today. The Black Canyon Fire on the Monte La Salle National Forest in Utah is smaller, around 800 acres, but growing fast, with short crown runs and uphill runs near Price, Utah, and evacuations already in effect, with power lines serving central Utah communities seriously threatened. And the Tartar Fire, northwest of Weiser, Idaho, has burned around 107,000 acres and is only 13% contained. Command is transitioning between management teams today as crews continue battling active uphill and wind-driven runs. The fire weather driving all of this across the Great Basin isn't improving anytime soon either. Lingering breeziness, combined with hot, dry, unstable air, is a volatile mix. Minimum humidity between 3 and 15% is forecast to continue, with temperatures staying well above 100 degrees Fahrenheit across the central and southern Great Basin. The Antelope Creek Fire in Nevada's Elko District jumped more than 4,000 new acres overnight, so even fires that seem to be settling down are finding fresh energy in these conditions. That's the pattern across this entire region right now. Fires that look stable one day suddenly gain thousands of acres the next, simply because the humidity drops another percentage point and the wind picks up for a few hours. Moving to the northern Rockies now, preparedness level 4. with 13 large uncontained fires burning. Montana and Idaho are both seeing active fire conditions this morning, with 2 full management teams committed. On the Flathead National Forest, about 15 miles west of Kalispell, Montana, is growing fast, adding more than 1,000 acres overnight, with active torching and spotting, threatening railroad infrastructure along with evacuations and road closures across the Flathead Valley. The Upper Smith Fire in Idaho's Panhandle, 6 miles west of Port Hill near the Canadian border, has burned around 2,300 acres, but has already cost more than $20 million, making it one of the priciest fires burning in Idaho right now. New fire activity is also picking up across the northern Rockies, with 6 brand new fires reported just yesterday, including the Griffin Fire near Ashland, Montana, the newest large fire in that area. Cooler than average temperatures are offering slight relief in the northern Rockies today, but minimum humidity between 10 and 20% in northern Idaho and Montana is still enough to support active fire spread. Now let's talk about the Rocky Mountain region. Preparedness, level 3, centered on Colorado and Wyoming. 6 large fires remain uncontained there, and one of them is currently the most expensive single wildfire burning anywhere in the country. The Aspen Acres Fire in Custer County, Colorado, about 20 miles southwest of Pueblo along the Interstate 25 corridor, has burned close to 102,000 acres and is around 71% contained. But here's the number that stops you cold. More than 900 structures have been destroyed, and suppression costs have already passed $95 million, the highest of any fire in the nation right now. 900 homes and buildings gone in Custer County, Colorado. That is a devastating hit to that community, one that will take years, not months, to recover from. Command is expected to transfer back to the local unit soon, which is a sign of real progress, but the damage is already done. The Rio Blanco fire is burning about 10 miles south of Pagosa Springs, Colorado, along the Highway 160 corridor with active fire behavior, including group torching and short-range spotting, threatening numerous structures, with evacuations in place. The Gold Mountain Fire on the Grand Mesa, about 2 miles north of Ouray, is now around 72% contained, but has already cost more than $55 million, making it the second most expensive fire burning in Colorado right now. The Rocky Mountain region saw 8 brand new fires reported just yesterday alone, spread across Colorado and Wyoming. Fire weather for the Rockies over the next few days looks like this: near normal temperatures, low humidity, and an isolated thunderstorm threat later this week. That thunderstorm threat matters because isolated mixed wet and dry storms are possible over the Rockies, and dry lightning, meaning lightning without any real rainfall behind it, can easily spark brand new fires in fuel that's already bone dry. So even as some relief from rain is hoped for, the Rockies could actually see new fire starts from those same storms later this week. Now heading east to Minnesota, because yes, this crisis has reached the upper Midwest too. 5 separate wildfires are burning at the same time on the Superior National Forest, all within the Boundary Waters area, and they're being managed together by a single Type 1 team. The Bear Trap Fire is the largest of the 5 at close to 30,000 acres and is about 40% contained, with suppression costs already near $19 million and evacuations in effect near Ely, Minnesota. 2 of the other fires, Wolfpack and Sow, also have active evacuations, and communication infrastructure is a real concern across that whole region. Fire weather in the east is actually cooler than average right now, but the forest fuels are critically dry after a stretch of drought, so moderate fire behavior, flanking, backing, and isolated torching continues across all 5 Minnesota fires. Let's take a quick look at California too, because fire season there is now fully underway. More than 20 new fires were reported in Southern California just yesterday alone, the most of any region in the country yesterday. A brand new fire is burning about 6 miles southeast of Valley Springs in Calaveras County right now, showing active fire behavior with uphill runs, running, and long-range spotting, with evacuations and road closures already in place. The Rock Fire in San Bernardino County, near Independence, has burned around 12,000 acres and is close to fully contained around 98%. The Cinder Fire, also in San Bernardino County, has burned about 2,700 acres and is nearly wrapped up today as well. California's fire weather picture right now is extreme heat holding across the interior valleys and inland empire through the week, with minimum humidity between 3 and 15% forecast, which is essentially Santa Ana wind level fire danger, even outside of the usual Santa Ana season. Temperatures above 100 degrees remain in the forecast across the Central Valley, the desert Southwest, and inland Southern California. There's also a smaller fire in Nevada and Yuba counties in Northern California that's nearly fully contained, but it has already cost over $20 million, a huge price tag for how small its actual footprint is. Now, let's step back and look at the aerial support picture for a second, because it really shows the scale of the response happening right now. Several military air tankers, converted cargo aircraft fitted with firefighting systems, are currently deployed. A pair from a Colorado-based airlift wing are staged out of Klamath Falls, Oregon right now. Others from the Wyoming and California Air National Guards are staged out of Redding, California. These are military aircraft being pulled directly into wildfire operations, which is always a clear sign of just how serious things have gotten, because these aircraft and crews normally sit in reserve for exactly this kind of last resort scenario. And let's talk about the international support again, because it's genuinely historic and deserves a moment of attention. A full incident management team from Australia and New Zealand is now assigned to large fires in the Northwest, along with dozens of additional fire line personnel from those same countries working shoulder to shoulder with American crews today. The United States has long-standing resource-sharing agreements with Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and South Africa. But actually activating that agreement at this scale in August, during peak fire season, tells you how extraordinary the demand for resources has become this year. It's one thing to read that agreements exist on paper. It's another thing entirely to see crews flown in from the other side of the world, because domestic resources genuinely cannot cover everything burning at once. Now, let's look at the extended forecast, because the weather pattern is simply not going to cooperate for the Pacific Northwest anytime soon. Hot, dry, unstable conditions are expanding into the western part of the region. The thermal trough strengthening over southwest Oregon is creating a genuinely high-risk fire weather corridor running through the Cascades, from the Rogue River Valley all the way north to the Columbia River Gorge. If you're anywhere near that corridor, Medford, Roseburg, Eugene, the Dalles, keep a close eye on National Weather Service fire weather watches. For the Great Basin, stretching into the Four Corners area, lingering breeziness plus extreme heat is the story, with minimum humidity between 3 and 15% persisting through today and possibly into the next day or two. For the Rockies and Plains, cooler than average temperatures across the northern and central plains offer a bit of relief, but isolated wet and dry thunderstorms remain possible from the Rockies into the northern plains this week, with a stronger chance of helpful wet storms specifically in southeastern Arizona and southwestern New Mexico. The rest of the Southwest will likely see below average storm coverage, meaning no widespread rainfall relief is expected there. Back east, showers and thunderstorms will keep rolling through the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida, a genuinely wet pattern. But that moisture is locked east of the Mississippi and is doing absolutely nothing to help the burning west right now. Here's the bottom line on the forecast. There is no significant relief on the horizon for fire country. The heat pattern that has been baking the interior west shows no real sign of breaking anytime soon. Every additional day of heat and low humidity is another day where extreme fire behavior and rapid growth are possible. And with fuels already critically dry after a dry winter and spring, the overall fire environment is about as dangerous as it gets. Let me give you the key action items if you live in any of these fire-affected regions right now. Know your evacuation zone. Look it up today before you actually need it, because you may end up with very little warning when the order comes. Sign up for emergency alerts through your county. Every county across the West has some kind of system, and now is the time to use it. If you have a go bag, make sure it's packed and sitting somewhere easy to grab, documents, medications, water, a phone charger, all ready to go at a moment's notice. If you're under an evacuation order, leave immediately. Firefighters cannot protect you if you choose to stay behind. On air quality, smoke is affecting communities far beyond the actual fire lines, across huge stretches of the western United States. Check your local air quality index before heading outside today. Sensitive groups, kids, older adults, and anyone with asthma or heart conditions should limit time outdoors right now. And for anyone traveling, check state travel alert systems for Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Nevada, Utah, and Colorado before you drive anywhere. Road closures from these fires can change fast. What's open this morning might be closed again by this afternoon. Major routes to watch include Highway 97 through Central Oregon and Washington, Highway 2, and a long list of Forest Service roads. Interstate 5 through Southern Oregon and Northern California has multiple fires burning close to the roadway today. Now let's look at a few specific fires, where containment progress is actually giving us some good news today. A fire in the Vail BLM district has reached 99% containment. The Hay Creek complex near Prineville, Oregon is sitting around 97% contained. A fire on the Wallowa-Whitman National Forest is close to 90% and is transferring back to local management today. Another fire in the Burns BLM district is close to 80% contained and also transferring to local control. Progress is happening, but it's painfully slow compared to the scale of what's still burning completely out of control across the country. Let me put the total cost of this fire season into perspective before we wrap up today. Just from the fires covered in today's report, we're already looking at hundreds of millions of dollars in suppression costs alone. The Aspen Acres. Fire in Colorado, close to $95 million. The Roe Creek Complex in Oregon, close to 50 million. Other individual fires across Oregon are already sitting in the $30 to $60 million range each. And that's suppression cost alone, not counting the economic damage to communities, homes, and infrastructure that's already been lost. We're at roughly 138% of the 10-year average, with more than 2 months of fire season still ahead of us. This is shaping up to be one of the most significant wildfire seasons in modern American history, and it is nowhere near over. This is a developing situation across multiple regions, and I'll keep updating you daily as conditions change. If you live in any of these areas, please take fire preparedness seriously, check your evacuation zone today, keep your go bag ready, and don't wait for a final warning before you decide to act. This is not a drill out there. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.